Siege of Quebec by Mr. Steves. The Plains of Abraham, a vast flat section of land high above the St. Lawrence River to the west of the old city of Quebec. It is here that the French fought that fateful battle in 1759 against the English, a battle that would see two generals, French and English, fall to their deaths, a battle that would determine the fate of the French and English in North America, and that was won primarily by a secret weapon possessed by the English, a weapon that looked like this. Well, not him exactly, but the Scottish 78th Fraser Highlanders Infantry, who it would seem had good French teachers and used their knowledge of French to win the battle. They were the secret weapon. How, you might ask? Let me explain. In 1756, virtually every country in Europe went to war against each other, with France and England at the center field. In North America, this gave the British an excuse to expand its territory and eliminate the competition for new land. The English had control of the 13 colonies to the south and east, as well as trading routes to the north, while the French controlled the St. Lawrence River Valley in the interior of the continent, including the Great Lakes and the Mississippi. This way the French were wedged between the British territories, giving the British an advantage. So why did the British tend to lose battles at the start? The French had made allies with the First Nations, who taught them about guerrilla warfare. No, not that guerrilla, but this, fighting behind trees and sneaking up on people. The British strategy was to dress up in bright red coats and line up in the open and shoot at the same time, a strategy that worked well in the open fields of Europe, but it made them sitting ducks when they fought in the thick woods of North America. So the first battles in the Ohio Valley were utter defeats for the British. The French appointed a new general by the name of Montcalm, and in the face of imminent victory he did what any good general would do and changed his strategy. Montcalm felt that guerrilla tactics were beneath him and preferred the European dress him up and line him up military strategy. Meanwhile, the British switched their focus away from the interior and towards the St. Lawrence. They took Fort Louisbourg in 1758 and headed upstream towards Quebec. Le Quebec, home of le Bonhomme de Neige, the Quebec Nordiques, poutine, and yes, the Plains of Abraham. Sitting high above the St. Lawrence River, the city of Quebec provided an impenetrable defense of the interior of Canada. General Wolfe and the British made camp on Ile d'Orléans and across the river at Lévis, and made a failed attempt at taking the Beauport lowlands to the east. So they retreated to the island and fired cannonballs into the city. Like this one. I know, because I was there. Well, maybe a bit late. And here's where doing your French homework comes into our story. General Wolfe noticed some women washing clothes in the river accessible through a narrow passage up the cliffs to the west of the city, a place called the Anse au Foulon. Wolfe decided to trick the French into thinking that he was going to attack to the east, what they called the Beaufort feint, and waited for the perfect tide and moon to execute his plan. At night he sent the 78th Fraser Highlanders to the Anse au Foulon to gain control of the trail up the cliff. Why send the Scottish? Well, in addition to looking good in kilts, the Scottish did their French homework. So when the French sentries asked them, "Qui êtes-vous?" they were able to respond, "La France," and then slit their throats and take control of the trail. By the next morning, General Montcalm awoke to an army of British troops all lined up to the west on the Plains of Abraham. Now this was risky, since Wolfe knew that another French force was somewhere to the west, and Wolfe could easily get caught between the two forces with only a narrow pathway of escape. But Montcalm decided to attack right away, and within an hour the French were defeated, and both Wolfe and Montcalm had been fatally wounded. Wolfe died almost immediately, and Montcalm the next day. The French troops to the west tried a counteroffensive and won a battle at St. Foy in the spring of 1760, but both sides were hungry and beat up, and waited out the winter to see whose reinforcements would show up first. And the winner is the British! New France had fallen, and the British took control of North America. So if you're ever in the business of taking over continents, or if you just want to hang out with this guy, remember the Great Battle of Quebec and the importance of doing your French homework. The Siege of Quebec by Mr. Steves. And special thanks to Mr. Foote. Honestly, your check is in the mail. And Gecko Steve's YouTube channel. Keep calm and get a gecko.